This evening, first, a dramatic law enforcement operation in Georgetown. Officers descend on Mohamed's enterprise at Lombard Street, seizing documents, electronic devices, and cash as SOCU confirms an alleged illegal cambio operation. And Opposition Leader Azruddin Mohamed calls the move political persecution. Plus, a tragic wharf incident raises hard questions. 1 week after 4 men died in a confined engine room at the Courtney Benn Wharf, Labor Minister says safety procedures are under review as investigators probe possible toxic exposure. Also, elections funding secured, but no date yet. Nearly $7 billion has been approved for GECOM to host local government elections, covering staff ballots and logistics, though the timeline for the polls remain unclear. Meanwhile, a contractor crackdown. The Agriculture Ministry flags more than 30 farms as delinquent over drainage and irrigation projects, signaling tighter oversight and objections to future bids. And abroad, Cuba's energy crisis deepens as the country announces it will run out of jet fuel, following new sanctions that have cut off vital oil imports. Those stories and more coming up. Stay with us. Welcome to this broadcast of Channel 2's Headline News Update for February 11, 2026. I'm Bibi Bacchus. Thank you for joining us. First up, a heavy law enforcement presence descended on Mohamed's enterprise at Lombard Street, Georgetown earlier today, as officers executed a targeted raid that authorities said uncovered evidence of illegal financial activity. Opposition Leader Azruddin Mohamed arrived at the business during the operation, where a copy of the search warrant was read to him by officers.
Nazir Mohamed Azruddin Mohamed, the proprietor of Mohamed Enterprise, situated at Lot 29 Lombard Street, working as Georgetown, in Georgetown, Metro District. Hear me, sir?
Yes, I'm hearing you.
Having dear possession, premises or house, valuable, minerals, precious stone, local or foreign currency, electronic device, financial documents, all of which will afford and assist us in investigating an offense of money.
Mohamed live-streamed portions of the search on social media, describing the action as political persecution.
They didn't find any gold, they didn't find any drugs, they didn't find any large amount of money. All they found was a couple $1,000 that we will help beggars on a daily basis. While the search was going on, 2 beggars pulled up in their crutches to come to collect their normal, everyday money that we would assist them with. And I told them the business is closed, but they carry away all the little money that we normally would have here to give the less fortunate. I showed everything on a live because I want the Guyanese people to see how wicked, how vindictive is the PPP government. By all means, they want to get me out. By all means.
During the operation, officers entered the premises and confiscated staff members' mobile phones. Several items were also seized, including documents, electronic devices, and cash valued at under $2 million, all of which were taken to the Special Organized Crime Unit, SOCU. Several individuals were also arrested, including an uncle of Azruddin Mohamed. In a subsequent statement, SOCU confirmed that the operation uncovered an illegal cambio operation at the Lombard Street location. The unit said the raid followed credible information and forms part of an intensified strategy targeting gold smuggling, illicit financial flows, and unlicensed money exchange operations. Investigations remain active, and SOCU has indicated the charges are expected to be laid. Mohamed's enterprise previously had its cambio license revoked following U.S. sanctions imposed in 2024. On a different note, more than 700,000 Guyanese are set to receive direct financial support as the government moves to cushion the impact of disasters and economic pressures on their budget 2026. Prime Minister Brigadier Retired Mark Phillips confirmed that cash grants will be distributed to approximately 716,261 citizens once Budget 2026 is passed as part of expanded disaster response and social support measures. The announcement was made during the consideration of estimates in the Parliamentary Committee of Supply, where over $73.6 billion was approved for disaster preparedness, response, and management. The Prime Minister explained that following the budget's approval, the Ministry of Finance will finalize preparations and announce timelines for payouts. He assured lawmakers that efforts are underway to ensure funds are released as early as possible. Importantly, many beneficiaries will not be required to re-register, as more than 600,000 persons were already captured in a previous database, which will be reviewed and updated. However, a new registration exercise will target an additional 14,000 eligible signees. Meanwhile, $120 million has been allocated for unplanned disaster relief, including home repairs and water distribution to affected communities. These measures will fall under a broader $111.3 billion allocation to the Office of the Prime Minister. On a different note, 1 week after 4 men died in a confined engine room at the Courtney Benn Wharf, critical questions remain unanswered as safety protocols come under scrutiny. Minister of Labor and Manpower Planning, Keoma Griffith, speaking to the newsroom on Tuesday, confirmed that all procedures related to the February 4th tragedy on Water Street, Georgetown, are currently being reviewed.
The investigation is still ongoing. We're awaiting the final report from the police, and as soon as we have more information, we're going to share with.
He noted that while protocols are under assessment, he is unaware of any toxicology testing being requested at this stage.
All the protocols involved are being reviewed and assessed right now, so I'm not able to give that information. I don't know of any toxicology reports or any toxicology assessments being requested.
The incident claimed the lives of 18-year-old Brandon Dionorine, 57-year-old Nirine Prasad, 33-year-old Dominic Alexis, and 25-year-old Jatindra Sanchara. According to reports, Prasad and Dionorine first entered the engine room of a cargo vessel to conduct a dry inspection, but collapsed shortly after. Alexis and Sanchara reportedly lost consciousness while attempting to rescue them. A 66-year-old seaman present at the time of the incident said he experienced breathing difficulties when he attempted to enter the confined space and retreated to call for help. The 4 men were pronounced dead at the Georgetown Public Hospital Corporation. Preliminary investigations suggest possible exposure to poisonous fumes. Minister Griffith said the ministry is awaiting the final police report before releasing further details. Stick around when we return. Government moves to blacklist 30 delinquent contractors amid pump station controversy. And Ghana launches recycling and compositing center to curb landfill waste and methane emission.
Services. Let our professional team examine and prescribe what's best for your eyes. How smiles make fashionable faces. See us for a full line of optical services, including brand name and prescription eyewear. Modern Optical Services. 316 Mill Street, Georgetown. Telephone 226-1082.
Good girl forget things.
What's the problem, Granny? I want money for borrow for those surgery. I was dancing and I fall and fracture my hip.
If you need some quick money, you should check Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop, Lot 238 South Road Border, Georgetown. Get jewelry made to order in just 72 hours. We also accept vehicles. Lender's, best rates, longest payback period.
Boys, I get through. Plus, I could dance again.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Welcome back. The Ministry of Agriculture has flagged Tupui Group Incorporated and approximately 30 other contractors as delinquent, signaling a crackdown on poor performance in major drainage and irrigation projects. Agriculture Minister Zulfikar Mustafa made the disclosure during the Committee of Supplies consideration of the budget estimates. He revealed that the ministry has formally written to the National Procurement and Tender Administration Board, indicating it no longer wishes to engage the listed contractors and will object to any future bids submitted by them.
Not only Tupui Group, but what we have done in the last quarter of 2025, we have written to the National Procurement and Tendering Administration, and we listed approximately 30 contractors that we said that we don't want to do business with them anymore. Those are delinquent contractors from the Ministry of Agriculture, and we will not want to do any business with them, and that has been sent to the National Procurement Board, and I hope that anytime those persons tender for a job at the Ministry of Agriculture, we will object to it.
The issue arose amid scrutiny of the $865 million Bellevue Pump Station project, originally awarded to Tupui Group Incorporated, whose principal is Mikhail Rodriguez, known as the Guyanese critic. The project, which had an 18-month timeline, faced delays and controversy after limited progress was reported. Works are now being executed by GECOM Construction under subcontracting arrangements, with the project nearing 1/3 completion. Minister Mustafa emphasized that performance bonds remain in place to ensure accountability. He also announced plans to procure 40 mobile pumps this year to accelerate flood mitigation efforts and reduce reliance on lengthy construction timelines. In other news, the Committee of Supply has approved more than $6.9 billion in current expenditure to fund the Ghana Elections Commission and support the hosting of local government elections later this year. Minister of Parliamentary Affairs and Governance, Gail Tashira, confirmed on Monday that the approved allocation fully covers the operational needs required to conduct the elections. Addressing questions from opposition members during the consideration of the Budget 2026 estimates, she said the funding provides for temporary election day staff, ballot materials, and other essential election resources. Tashira explained that the allocation also includes transportation, printing, training of polling day workers, and payments to scrutineers, ensuring the GECOM has the logistical and human resources needed for a smooth electoral process. While the 2026 allocation is lower than that of 2025, the minister noted that local government elections are less costly than general and regional elections. She also pointed out that GECOM can reuse some materials purchased for previous elections, thereby reducing overall expenditure. The approval confirms the government's readiness to facilitate the upcoming local polls. However, despite the budget approval and allocations being confirmed, a definitive date for the hosting of the local government election has not yet been announced. Moving on, the Ministry of Local Government and Regional Development officially launched a recycling and composting center on Tuesday at the Hayes-Bosch Sanitary Landfill in Eccles, marking a major step towards sustainable waste management in Guyana. The launch coincided with the start of a 3-day structured composting training program aimed at building national and local capacity in organic waste diversion, supported by Environment and Climate Change Canada and implemented by the Center for Clean Air Policy with Implementer SIR. The program combines technical instructions with hands-on exercises. Participants, including representatives from neighborhood democratic councils, government agencies, educational institutions, private sector partners, and landfill operators, practice compost pile construction using organic materials such as fruit peels, sawdust, and chicken manure under the guidance of composting expert Matthew Cotton. Director of Sanitation Satrahan North highlighted the initiative's climate benefits, noting that methane from organic waste is a major contributor to greenhouse gas emissions. By diverting organic waste from landfills, the ministry aims to reduce emissions, extend the lifespan of landfills, and promote recycling nationwide. Pilot projects have already demonstrated success with Region 6 home composting programs, diverting nearly half of household organic waste. This recycling and composting center will aim to support Ghana's broader environmental and climate objectives. Don't go away after the break. How Greece port became a frontline in US-China trade rivalry, and the US sex abuse law bill introduced to remove statute of limitations.
Good girl forget things.
What's the problem, Granny? I want money for borrow for those surgery. I was dancing and I fall and fracture my hip.
If you need some quick money, you should check Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop, lot 238 South Road Border, Georgetown. Get jewelry made to order in just 72 hours. We also accept vehicles. Lenders, best rates, longest payback period.
Boys, I get through. Plus, I could dance again.
Lenders Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Sneakily with a gift of sight from Modern Optical Services. Let our professional team examine and prescribe what's best for your eyes. Our smiles make fashionable faces. See us for a full line of optical services, including brand name and prescription eyewear. Modern Optical Services, 316 Mill Street, Georgetown, telephone 226-1082.
Welcome back. Now we take a look at what's happening in the region and around the world.
Good evening, I'm Dominic Gittins. Tonight, China defends its loans for a new hospital in the Bahamas after the US urges Nassau to reconsider the deal. Cuba's fuel crisis deepens under new sanctions. US-China rivalry intensifies, and Democrats move to change sex trafficking laws. We begin in Bahamas. China has defended its financing of a new $195 million hospital in the Bahamas, calling it a preferential livelihood loan agreed through mutual consultation after the United States urged Nissan to reconsider the deal. U.S. Ambassador Herschel Walker encouraged alternative financing, citing concerns over loan terms and contractor ties. Bahamian officials say the U.S. proposal did not meet project needs, stressing sovereignty and continued strong ties with Washington. Cuba's energy crisis has just reached its peak after the island announced it will run out of jet fuel. The country is reeling after US President Donald Trump announced new sanctions 2 weeks ago, preventing it from being able to import oil, including air fuel, from international markets. Al Jazeera Ed Augustine reports.
Cuba has announced it's about to run out of jet fuel. Planes can no longer refuel on the island. Another heavy blow to an already beleaguered economy. Acute fuel shortages have gotten even worse after US President Donald Trump announced 2 weeks ago that he'd imposed tariffs on any country sending oil to Cuba. This father and son are leaving the country for good.
I'm going to look for a better life because things here are really bad.
On Monday, Air Canada announced it is suspending flights to the island.
Other airlines will pull out too, because they can't guarantee fuel for the return trip.
Does that affect you?
Any measure they take is going to affect us. The people are always the ones most affected.
The Cuban government has announced a raft of emergency measures to radically cut back on fuel usage. For example, vital services, they say, are to keep running. Fuel is to be prioritized to food, health, national defense, and to make sure that critical water supply is still reaching regular people. At the same time, hospitals have already shut down in the last days, and across the country, non-vital, non-emergency surgery has been paused. Last year, Venezuela and Mexico were Cuba's main oil providers. But since Nicolas Maduro was abducted by US Special Forces last month, Venezuelan oil deliveries have stopped. On Sunday, Mexico announced that it was sending more than 800 tons of food to the island, but no fuel. President Sheinbaum said her government is talking to Washington to find ways of sending fuel to Cuba without being hit by tariffs.
You can't strangle a people in this way. It's very unjust.
Tourism is one of the island's main sources of hard currency, but right now, you wouldn't know it.
Look around you right now. There are like 3 taxis in a park that's usually packed with them. Lots of my colleagues are now working because they don't have fuel.
In less than a week, the black market price of petrol has doubled. Things are moving quickly in Cuba. For people across this island nation, the impact of this de facto oil blockade is inescapable. Ed Augustine, Havana, Al Jazeera.
The United States and China have been locked in a global trade and influence battle since President Donald Trump returned to the Oval Office. A new competition is now emerging in the Greek bait of Elefsina. Al Jazeera's John Saropoulos reports.
In the Gulf of Elefsina, 15 kilometers west of Athens, the spark of life has returned to a bankrupt shipyard. In the past 4 years, Omex, a Greek company, has turned this shipyard around, repairing 800 ships, and it's about to start building new ones. But Onyx has much more ambitious plans to lay down 40 hectares of new dock into the Gulf of Elefsina to create a cargo port and gas-fired power plant. That will put it up against the China Ocean Shipping Company, or COSCO, which now brings 5 million containers of Chinese goods each year through the port of Piraeus on the other side of the Gulf of Elefsina, turning it into Europe's 5th largest cargo port.
All the big players, even the Chinese players like COSCO and other big players, they activate in shipping, ports and shipyards. Our target is to create the most important strategic-wise port in Greece, and we'll connect with the rest of the Balkans, South and Eastern Europe. So we create an alternative corridor.
4 years ago, the Chinese company wanted to expand its container operation. The only space available lies here in the Gulf of Eleusis. But the US then invested $125 million to develop the Greek-owned Onyx shipyard as a cargo port, seeing it as a way to check the expansion of the Chinese operation. The shipyard will also service ships carrying US shale gas to Europe. Caught in the middle of this clash of superpowers are the people of Elefsina. They welcome investment and jobs. They've made their living in the shipyards, refineries, and munitions factories that surround them. But they are also aware of the legacy of becoming Greece's industrial heartland in the post-war years. That includes toxic sediments set down on the sea floor.
What we have already in the Gulf is a natural sealing of the polluted sediment. If we start digging, all this will come up. It will be a time bomb.
Elefsina is also the home of Demeter, the ancient Greek goddess of fertility. She was worshipped here for more than 2,000 years, including by Christian farmers, until the 19th century. Now that industry is roaring back, local residents want it not to cost them their natural heritage. John Psaropoulos, Al Jazeera, in the Gulf of Elefsina.
Democrats in the U.S. Congress are introducing legislation to eliminate the statute of limitation shielding sex traffickers. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer unveiled the bill, standing alongside the victims of the convicted sex trafficker Jeffrey Epstein. Al Jazeera's Alan Fisher reports.
Flanked by victims of convicted sex trafficker Jeffrey Epstein, Democrats in Congress have promised a new law removing a controversial block on any legal action after a set period of time.
Our law makes clear that abusers and those that enable them cannot escape responsibility by running out the clock. It makes clear that the law will empower survivors to pursue justice, and it recognizes something survivors have always known. Time does not erase harm.
It's called Virginia's Law, named after Virginia Giuffre, who was one of Epstein's most prominent accusers, who died by suicide last year.
We are introducing Virginia's Law because survivors deserve justice, not expiration dates. Change must mean justice. Not someday, not in speeches, not in private settlements, justice in law, justice in court, and justice in the form of consequence.
The proposed new law has been unveiled just 24 hours after Epstein's girlfriend, Ghislaine Maxwell, was due to give evidence to a congressional committee by video link from prison. She refused to answer any questions without immunity or a presidential pardon.
My habeas petition is pending in the Southern District of New York. I therefore invoke my right to silence under the Fifth Amendment to the U.S. Constitution.
With a Republican majority in the House and Senate, it's not clear if the bill has a path to being law. But a bipartisan effort last year led to a law forcing the Department of Justice to release the Epstein files, with more to come. Alan Fisher, Al Jazeera, Washington.
Thanks, Dominic. This brings us to the end of our regional and global news coverage. Up next is the 3-day weather forecast. And that's it with the Headline News for this Wednesday evening. As we take our leave, we invite you to follow us on Facebook and YouTube. You can tune in tomorrow at 6:30 a.m. for rebroadcast and at 7 p.m. for more news. Until then, please take care of yourselves and each other.